Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is Talking Crazy 88 back again with another podcast for you. It's been a while since I did a podcast, back, but I started a new job, a new tax accounting job, and I've been volunteering doing taxes on the side, along with my own personal clients, and now also starting a consulting business. So, pretty much, I didn't have time for anything, but I've been making money slowly but surely. I hope you out there making money as well, gang. But I have been following the news. I haven't been following what's going on in the White House, but because I don't give a fuck about what's going on with the orange pimp. Fuck him and the white supremacists that follow that motherfucker. And I have to tell you people, what I followed in the news is what I've been, which is another police involved shooting of another unarmed, well, supposedly armed black man. All right. And I was just reading something about. Well, I'm going to get that. I'm going to get to that later. But I just want to talk about about the Stephon Clark shooting. I know I've been late in the game. But as you know, there was a brother out in Sacramento, California, which I've been to one time. Nice little city. Well, actually, I've been to a city outside of Sacramento. It was Antelope, California. You know, I had to see some people up there. You know, a chick that I met was up there. Didn't work out, but that's all right. But we'll talk about that in another video. Or, well, in another podcast. I forgot. This is not a video, it's a podcast. So you motherfuckers can't see me. So fuck it. But like I said before in my previous podcast, I'm gonna try to curtail on the cussing and the calling another black person a nigger. You know, because this is not the time to do that shit. This is a time where we have to really clean up our image. We gotta clean up the way we treat each other, black men and black women. Now, this brother got shot sitting in his grandmother's backyard, minding his own goddamn business. Wasn't doing anything, just sitting there on his cell phone. Now, apparently, a neighbor called the police because apparently someone was breaking into his car, which sounds reasonable. The police was on a search for this unknown suspect. Couldn't determine whether or not this man was black or white. But it was just somebody that was breaking into his car. They were searching for a suspect. And they happened to find Mr. Clark sitting in his backyard on his cell phone. I didn't even watch the video. Because I know in that video, it really doesn't support the accounts of the police. It showed that the police was really unreasonable in that shooting. Just say, put the gun down, put the gun down. He has a cell phone. You yelling at a brother, put whatever weapon he may supposedly have in his hand down, and then just start dumping on the brother, 20-something shots, murdering him, executing him. But do you know what the sad part is, people? Time after time after time, police officers are never going to be brought to justice. And it has nothing to do with politics. It doesn't have anything to do with wealth. It has a lot to do with how the police departments were designed. It wasn't designed to protect and serve people. It was designed to monitor us, black folks. It was designed to protect and serve white people, but it was meant to actually serve as a prison guard in our neighborhood. You know, you ever wonder why people like to talk about black on black crime in Chicago? It was designed that way, people. talk about the high crime rate in black areas where you have the most police presence in these neighborhoods. You got to ask yourself this question. If there's so much police in these police officers patrolling our neighborhoods, why is there so much crime? Police know who the troublemakers are. They allow the troublemakers to roam around the neighborhood. The police, the court system, the politicians, they allow it. They allow the so-called black-on-black crime. And there's a reason for it, because without the police presence here in our community, we can control the black-on-black crime. If we had our own resources, there wouldn't be any crime. If we had our own job, if we had our own economy in our community, there wouldn't be any there would be no such thing as black-on-black crime. There would be no such things as gangs protecting our neighborhood, because the so-called gangs initially was really to protect our neighborhood, to protect ourselves from the white police officers. Then it morphed into something political. They got bought off. They got bought off by the governments. They got bought off by the government system, man. Why do you think the Black Panthers, they're non-existent anymore? But these so-called gangs in our community, the Crips and the Bloods, the Disciples, or whatever the fuck they called up in Chicago, they're allowed to roam around for decades. Ask yourself that question, why? It was designed that way, people. And I'm not just talking about bullshit. This is based on old man observation. When you get to hear the same story told by different people, and the same results is going to occur, you begin to see a pattern. And that pattern is that black folks in this country, they're trying to obliterate us. So they're trying to get rid of us. And this is during this time where the President of the United States, Donald Trump, the Orange Pimp, he's ignoring black folks. He don't talk about us. He don't talk about our agenda. He's not going to. He don't give a fuck about black folks, man. He don't really give a fuck about white folks unless the election time comes around. You know, he cares about money. That's all he cares about. He cares about putting his name out there. And he did a good job at it. But see, one thing that I have to tell you that why I am so, well, I shouldn't really be disappointed about black folks, is that it turns out that this brother, Stephon Clark, who's dead in the ground, can't even defend himself. You know, they put his business out there that he was married to a Vietnam woman, had half-breed children. All right. You know, a nigger and a gook children. Yeah, I can't really say that they're gooks because, you know, from what I hear about Vietnamese people, they love, you know, they have a semblance of respect for black folks here in this country, historically. So when I hear another group of people who have somewhat of some respect for black Americans, you know, hey, can't call you my cousin, can't call you my brother, but I can call you my ally. Can't call you my cousin, but I can call you my ally. At least we have some friends out there. But yet he was about he's a young man that died. suddenly, and it turned out that he had some tweets that made some disparaging remarks about black women. Something about he doesn't want anything black but his Xbox, and black women ain't this and that. And then all of a sudden people who are making videos not supporting this brother. Well, he can't get any more support because he's dead. Well, I mean, I wouldn't start marching on anyone's behalf because that's a waste of time. But for these idiots to just come out and make videos about I'm not supporting Stephon Clark because he made disparaging remarks about black women 2 years ago. Now, let me explain something to you people out there. And I'm not going to even use the word, I'm not going to even call y'all niggas. I'm not going to I'm going to act the fool in this podcast. But I'm going to do it without using the word nigger or cussing all over the place. I'm not going to do that. Because now is not the time to do that. Because here's the thing, when I do podcasts, you never know who's listening. I may have a small subscriber base. I may have a small viewer rate. And with the new YouTube policies, I'm not even going to make a dime off of making this podcast to you people out there. But you know what? People are listening. People may stumble on, it may take years, but people may stumble across my podcast and listen. And they may like what I have to say, or they may not like what I have to say, but they are listening. And I'm not even going to support the family because I know what's going to happen. The police officers that's going to be involved, they're not going to be brought to justice. They're going to go to the civil trial, and they're going to get a settlement. So they're going to trade this man's life for money. That seems to be the cycle. And you got his idiot brother running around acting a fucking fool on CNN, shutting down city council meetings, doing all this bullshit. That's not really going to help the matters. It's really hurting him and the family when it comes down to the civil suit settlement. Okay? It's really going to hurt him. So, my advice to you, well, I can't really tell him how to behave because, look, I never lost a brother in that matter. All right? I would be acting the fool as well. I probably would be acting worse than the brother. I think his name was Savante Clark or something like that. I'd be acting worse than him. Matter of fact, I would be threatening the police. I would threaten those police officers that shot my brother. I would actually find out who these motherfuckers are and come after them one by one. After I get my settlement, I would be putting out hits on these motherfuckers. Because I don't play that shit. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Because white people, they don't play that shit. They don't sit down and take it. They do something about it. Okay? People like to say, hey man, there's no good from revenge. It may not feel good. It may not make me feel better, but at least I have some semblance of justice. Because if you can't get it in the courtroom, you feel like you were wrong. You feel like the law was on your side and it betrayed you. Because I'm gonna really be honest with you, Stephon Clark, he wasn't breaking the law. He was on his own property. He was on his own goddamn property, minding his own goddamn business. And they just rolled up on this brother and just shot him. But see, some of y'all stupid ass motherfuckers don't see the problem with that. All you see is that he made some disparaging remarks about some black women who he probably had a problem with. See, what young man, even in my 40s, even when I was started doing podcasts in my 30s, late 30s, I was making disparaging remarks about black American women. But I can honestly tell you that I was 95% wrong in doing that. You know, because you don't really, there's a code of conduct that you must follow. And black folks haven't seemed to establish that code of conduct. And that code of conduct is you don't go on and disparage your own people. Even if you're in the right, you just don't do that shit. Because you got to remember, people are listening to your podcast. People are listening. Not just black folks are listening. Not just white folks. And I'm going to use this term, I'm going to use the word nigger, because in this case, this may be humorous. There's a nigger out in Shanghai, China. Some Chinese nigger is listening to to my podcast as we speak. So they're gonna get an impression on black Americans, which is unfavorable. We already have that image of black. The media already have a disparaging view on black Americans already. You see it in TV. You see it on movies. You see it in the movies. You see it on you hear it on the radio. You hear it in the music. Yeah, and all you stupid motherfuckers out there that made this movie, what is called Black Panther, a #1 hit. So you just made white folks more money. You just made Disney and its shareholders more money. And y'all just, and for what I hear, is that they needed a hit. They needed black folks to save Disney. And that's what you stupid motherfuckers did. You saved another white-owned company from going bankrupt. Because Disney was broke. Had no money, had to pay out lawsuits, have to pay out money for our lawsuits all over the goddamn place. So they ain't got no money, man. Sexual harassment lawsuits in the ESPN. But you stupid motherfuckers out there going to the premiere, eating fried chicken in the movie theater, wearing dashikis, doing all that bullshit. I didn't see that shit. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch that bullshit movie about an all-black comic book heroine with black folks fighting each other. Okay? I won't watch that shit. In a made-up land in Africa named Wakanda. I think that's what it is. Wakanda? Wakanda? Whatever the fuck it is. I ain't watching that bullshit. And you can call me a coon. You can call me a Sambo. Fuck all of y'all. Because y'all some stupid motherfuckers. That's all I'm going to tell y'all. You better smarten up. I told y'all motherfuckers 3 years ago, you better smarten up. Because I'm telling you right now, black folks, black men and women, we're going to need each other. So that's why I made a conscious decision to just take down most of the videos most of my podcasts that were disparaging to black women and black men. Because first of all, we shouldn't even be promoting any stupid ass, well, I'm going to say it, some stupid ass nigger who was in, you know, some niggas that's going into nigger mode and want to fight each other. There's plenty of fight videos on World Star Nigger Network that you can see to watch that bullshit. But I won't be promoting that shit anymore. And there's no real need to tell the truth about black folks in the black community, because what did we lie about? What have black Americans lied about in the last over the last 500 years we've been in this country? What's the lie? Okay? The truth is that we've been deprived of resources. We're deprived of our history. Or everything is controlled by white folks and everybody else. You don't go. You come into our neighborhood. You go to the corner store. I can go. I live in the Bronx, man. My mainly black area. Go across the street. I see some spics running the store, a convenience store. I gotta go in the bodega. There's no black-owned corner store, except for there's no black-owned spots except the goddamn jerk chicken spots. I live in mainly a West Indian neighborhood. That's all that's here. There's no accounting firms here. There was years ago right up the block, but they closed down. There's no electricity. And I'm going to do a podcast about, after tax season, I'm going to do a podcast about black folks. There is no jobs, but there's plenty of work. All right? Some of y'all motherfuckers are not going to get that phrase that I came up with. The title of my podcast, you're not going to get it at first. But when I start doing my podcast, you'll get it. You'll begin to understand. Shit, I'm 20 minutes in. I got to get the fuck to work, man. Look. Motherfuckers. Here, let me get to the point. Stephon Clark, whether you like him or not, whether he says some disparaging things about black folks, is irrelevant. The way this man was executed, black folks should be on cold at this point. The motherfuckers that put out his tweets to try to disparage him, to cause division, that motherfucker is doing whatever it is he needs to do to cause division among black folks. You got these silly ass black women saying, I'm not going to support him and his family. Look, you don't have to support him. He's dead. Fuck is wrong with y'all? And you don't have to support his girlfriend that was running around calling black men and women black bitches and niggas. Fuck her too. You gotta remember, this man was broke. This young man was broke. Now, over time, would he have been gotten a conscience and said, hey man, I can't be talking about black folks like this anymore? That remains to be seen. Who knows? Maybe he wouldn't. I don't know. But usually, here's the thing with interracial dating. That's why I've never really been a fan of it. I've never been a supporter of it. You know, I've always loved black women. Don't see myself with anybody but a black woman. And I don't. And if I ever had a chance to have any children, that's all my children gonna be is black children. All I'm gonna do is produce black babies. But here's the thing, gang. I was Stephon Clark years ago, and I always thought that maybe the non-black women were better. And they were really not that much better, man. Matter of fact, it's even worse because one or two things they're going to be with you because you have either money or for sex. It's not because that they like you. It's not because that they really want to marry you, because I rarely see any marriages that lasted long term. And if it did, that's a rarity. Okay? It's very rare to see a woman of a non-black woman who want to marry a black man and have his children. Children that may not even look like her. That may not even look like him. Okay? Think about it like that, gang. I only want to have children that look like me. Okay? But I was Stephon Clark. I was Stephon Clark when I was in my late 30s. But you evolved. I was just blowing off steam. But you evolve. And you mature. And you gotta mature, people. I'm a 44-year-old man now. You're gonna mature whether you like it or not. You're not gonna be running around acting all silly and acting a fucking fool all the time. You don't want to be. See, there was a brother named the Iceman that still does podcasts every once in a while, and he did this video years ago called 50 and Cool. And as I approach my 50s, I don't want to be that nigga still dressing in hip hop gear, on the street, behaving like I'm in my 20s again. I'm never going to go back to my 20s. I'm never going to go back. You always got to go forward in life. And you got to start developing goals, and you got to start developing a plan for your life. Just like I was telling this young brother in the bar the other day, man. You got to have a plan for your life, man. You got to go out there and have a plan. And if college is not for you, that's fine. I wouldn't suggest anybody to go to college. But you have to do something. You got to pick up a trade, because you whether it's electrical, plumbing, contracting, construction work, you're going to be making more than somebody that's sitting in a college class for 4 years learning about bullshit. College was good, getting the bullshit ass degrees. Those degrees were let me tell you something. If you're majoring in business, finance, those degrees are primarily for white men. Even accountants. Although we could use some more black accountants in our community. But those are primarily for rich white men. And those white men that aspire to have white collar jobs or work in the family business. Because if you walk in there in a job interview with your finance degree, expecting to get a 6-figure job, you can forget that, Jack. Especially in a family business where they could fire your black ass after 6 months just to bring their nephew involved in the business. You can forget that. You better off, your motherfucker's better off just go ahead and getting a CDL. Get yourself that Class A CDL with doubles and triples endorsement and a hazmat endorsement. Go out there and make 6 figures doing OTR, over the road truck driving. You'll never be home. You'll be on the road almost 300 days out of the year. But let me tell you motherfuckers something. You'll be making 6 figures. You'll be out your mama's and daddy's house, sleeping in your old racing car bed. You'll be on your own. You'll be able to stack your chips, do whatever you want to do. If you want to trick it off, you can do that. If you want to buy a nice little apartment, you can do that as well. You want to buy some land and build a house, you can do that after 2 years. Okay? You can do whatever you want. Once you start making 6 figures, the world is your oyster, man. And there's plenty of jobs out there driving. Fuck is wrong with y'all? Get that goddamn CD. Well, no, I'm gonna save it. Hold on, I'm gonna save it. For there's no jobs, but there's plenty of work out there. Podcasts. Well, listen, I gotta get the fuck to work. So I'm gonna talk to you motherfuckers later. All right. Well, listen, this is Talking Crazy 88, and I am out of here, people. And black folks, let's be careful out there. All right.